Hi everyone, welcome to Vivian Channel. Today we have Roz McNulty. She is a Vivian Channel. Hi everyone, welcome to Vivian Channel. And today we have a special guest, Roz McNulty, who's one of the world's leading experts on 3D fashion apparel. So welcome, Roz.
Thank you.
So Roz, how did you get into 3D fashion apparel 30 years ago? You've been working on this well in advance of anyone that I know in the industry. I know that this space is hot right now. Walmart, Lululemon, everyone, Gucci, Balenciaga, everyone's going 3D. But you've been doing this longer than, again, anyone I know. So what was your journey into this field?
Well, I actually began believing the concept could exist and found out the concept did exist. But it took major mainframes to do it many years ago. And therefore, it was part of introducing a new concept of illustration on a color graphics computer. And it was pretty basic. And years later, it's progressed to the point that it really can work the way that I always imagined it would. And so I've been working with the closed system as well as browseware, creating 2D pattern drafts in 3D simulations.
So Roz, how did your love for fashion translate into digital?
Well, I would actually admit that I didn't love pattern drafting. I wanted to learn how to do it better, faster, more efficiently. And that's what computers could help in that way in terms of pattern grading and math.
Right, so as you had a dress shop in London, you realized that there were ways to shortcut or make things faster. And so that kind of began your journey in 3D.
Yes, sizing, as I say, clothing is math, and computers are math. And therefore, if you use the computers to do the sizing, the grading, and fit all different types of bodies, it's a very logical thing to do.
So computers make clothing more accurate?
Yes, they can make it more accurate, especially if you're using an actual body scan. I've been working with 3D Look in terms of body scanning, and you can dress your own avatar.
So the pandemic has completely changed the way that we're looking at fashion and even going digital. I feel like everything's going digital right now. Fashion's going digital in marketing, it's going digital in production, it's going digital in the supply chain. How has going digital been accelerated in the fashion industry?
Well, it was just starting to really get greater interest other than the gigantic companies that were experimenting with it. And then also the software got better. Clothes 3D came out at an affordable price that everybody could use. And then all of a sudden you couldn't actually do showrooms anymore. You had to have another way of showing your clothing. Therefore, you also needed another way of communicating with your team. And one of the things that was happening is that you would be able, with the 3D software, to create a pattern and then actually send it to your factory in Vietnam. And Vietnam could comprehend exactly what you wanted in comparison to a physical sample or a drawing, and then you could get back the garment you wanted a great majority of the time. You could also start off by showing your customer the garment before you made the garment, or virtually, and before you sent it to your manufacturer. So again, you're dealing with less waste, you're dealing with getting a product to your customer that they want, and at the same time, you're not, as I say, the supply chain got all mixed up when people started expecting sales and expected seasons where winter clothing started arriving in the summer. So the clothing industry had to figure itself out and basically do it a different way.
Do you think that this has given the fashion industry an excuse to change things for the better? Because I have friends who are fashion designers, and every season was on such a tight timeline. Has digital transformation changed those timelines?
Yes, it's a total positive in terms of seasons, because Now what happens is that you can work with the colors of next season, and then you can do a virtual sample that has a drape of real cloth, the colors of the season you're designing for. And rather than sending out physical copies and then having them sent back to be redone, which could take up to 2 weeks, you can do it in less than about 10 minutes or 24 hours, but you can all of a sudden change those hem lengths, you can change that color, you can change that sleeve length, you can add a frill, take away a frill, and you can make a design decision for that season so much faster than you can if you were taking one physically each time.
So going digital enables you to do edits on the fly in real time. It allows you to make design decisions in a much shorter capacity than the previous model. Would you say that's correct?
Oh, definitely. They say something like 29 days to 23 hours, I think, is the official on the closed site. But I mean, truthfully, it can be 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I used to have friends who were in shoe design, and they would literally fly to Italy with their shoe samples and bring it to the manufacturer and be like, "Can you make this? Can you make this physical prototype in leather and whatnot?" And so, how would that look like going digital? Like, how would that change the whole workflow process?
Well, since you're working with a 2D pattern that is accurate based on the measurements you put into it, and then you're getting your 3D visual. Again, you're getting something that in theory should work as well, especially once you use the mathematics of the fabric. I mean, if you're creating it in the leather, you've actually scanned that leather, you've measured that leather in terms of stretch and width, and then you're going to recreate it visually in 3D with many layers of light hitting the fabric in terms of math. And then you should have a shoe there that is close enough to real that your buyers can make a decision. And that probably is good enough to close enough to real that you can actually put in a catalog.
Right. So the whole break it down for me, the design process for 3D fashion apparel. You know, what are sort of the steps that designers now take when going and designing in 3D?
Okay, so what's happening now is I feel that 3D apparel is almost a whole specialist. They're between pattern designers and they're between CAD people. So my students are pattern designers from all over the world, and they want to know 3D. And then I'm dealing with a whole other audience that is 3D that wants to know what patterns are. And then what I'm really doing with, say, the basics of Clo 3D on Motif is I am showing them how to use the software and start to create those lines and start to comprehend how it works in Clo and how to actually create style lines and just get past that whole basic software. And then in production in Clo 3D, I start to show them how to start translating it to production and how to get accurate measurements within and how to start doing pattern layouts and get that printable afterwards and how to start customizing your size avatars so that you're going to definitely have a garment that fits.
So would you say that you're like the bridge between the designer and the manufacturer, that in between all of that is this 3D digital model that is shared between the two parties?
Yes, and the thing is that as the pattern drafters start to learn the CAD better, computer-aided design, what's going to happen is that middle person, so to speak, will disappear. And once the schools start to embrace computer-aided design more so, again, everybody will be trained properly with classic pattern drafting and computer-aided design pattern draftings. But so at the moment they're sort of mixing together. But I'm really, really proud of the students I have and how much they've accomplished. And I'm also quite unnerved at times at some of the students that are coming and that I think, wow, so much more than me in terms of classic pattern design. But yes, it's great to be able to help people. It's great to be able to teach people. So I absolutely adore everything connected with digital clothing because I feel it gives you the freedom to design in a way that you just can't do on paper and you just can't do on cloth. You get the best of all worlds.
Amazing. That's right.
Want to learn more about 3D fashion apparel from Roz McNulty? Well, check out her class on Motif, a world-leading platform with world's fashion experts. See more content around 3D and AR on vivianchannel.com.
So thank you everyone for tuning in to this episode of Vivian Channel with Roz McNulty, a 3D digital magician and expert in 3D fashion software. Roz, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. Looking forward to now diving in a little bit more about some of the projects you're working on. We've just, had a discussion around the digital transformation for the fashion and apparel industry. Let's talk a little bit more now about a really special project that you're launching. You're about to launch a independent Clo 3D advanced course. And I know that you are already training hundreds of people in the fashion apparel industry on Clo basics and production. And now Advance is launching. So tell us a little bit more about this new edition and how that teaching evolution is taking place.
Well, I'm really pleased with what I've been able to put in the advanced Clo course. It's information people are asking, and we go into basically going into digital sampling, which is a growing field, what with AR representation of clothing. And then we go into custom avatars using 3D Look, which allows you to scan yourself or your customer and bring that avatar in. And we revisit pattern drafting and then all the classic pattern drafting by taking what you learned perhaps originally and making it work in Clo, and then taking some of the great, the new stuff that Clo has added, such as auto grading. Oh, that is wonderful. And grading and all those technical things you had to learn in your pattern drafting class. And then we go into advanced materials as well. And what's really important to me in doing digital doubles is that you keep it real and you keep your sources real and you keep your bodies real and you keep yourself so that you can be employed by an industry that needs people with those talents.
So, Chloe, Roz, can you break down what you learn in basics and production? And do you need to kind of learn all three as a bundle to kind of get the full spectrum? Or can people just jump into, into advanced? What's your guidance from a 3D modeling journey perspective?
Well, I think it's important to take all three courses, mainly because basics get you past any mistakes you might be making otherwise. So, making sure you have the right side of the fabric out and making sure that you're sewing with the right tool and basically getting you past any frustration that you can have when you're just trying to figure things out on the fly. Also starting to teach you those shortcuts that make you much more competent than again, guessing or navigating all over the screen with little boxes. So basics get you past the learning curve of figuring out how to learn. And then production starts giving you the skills of being accurate, how to get markers out of the system, how to start doing colorways, how to start using Clo in production, and then even how to even create your own runway in terms of animation. And then the advanced course. Advanced is when you're really actually going to be going into a different realm of employment, which is that digital doubling. And this is where I'm actually getting a lot of requests. They say, do you have any past students? We need someone. We need to be able to create this same simulation of this product for someone who's doing animation, someone who's doing AR, someone who wants to do a virtual showroom. You've got to I mean, it never hurts to have more skills. So yes, basics to learn, production to learn it so that it works for real, and then advanced so that you can take it to that next level.
That's incredible. So, one quick thing for the audience that of those you listening, we have opened the chat box for questions. So, at any time, if you have any questions for Roz around fashion, digital apparel, tech, please do send your questions in, and we'll take a couple of questions from the audience in a couple of minutes. So, let's drill on that. You talk about digital double. And in our chat just now, you had talked about dressing your own avatar. So let's pull up an example of Roz, your own avatar that you've created. Walk us through the creation process of this avatar, and this is your own avatar too, as well,
That's me.
with an original piece, a jumpsuit that you created as well. Talk us through how you created this and how that works, the whole process of creating your own digital double.
Well, again, I was using a 3D look, which I came across, I think, back in 2016. So I've followed this company consistently, and at the same time asked them if I could have them in this course. And so you do a scan of yourself and you get a real body, you get a real tummy, a real height, etc. And then what you can do is you can now import it into Clo, and you can make it look like the Clo avatar, and you can make it sizable. So that means sizable, posable. So that means I can dress this avatar so that it looks flattering on myself. I think I do a comparison of it on the generic avatar and one on myself. And the way I've sort of cut that jumpsuit, it does disguise a little bit of tummy. And the parts that are really good, such as the high leg, actually look really nice. I'm very tempted to do that for myself. But at the same time, another thing you'd be able to do is you'd be able to scan your customer. And if your customer said, oh, I've put on a bit of weight, again, you can go into Clo and you can add that extra few centimeters so that it would fit in that way. Or else they could say, let me see it in a blue green, let me see it with this, I want to see it at a knee length. It gives you so much flexibility because you're no longer just dressing, creating a style, you're creating a garment that someone can wear. And I guess that speaks also to the next thing of digital doubles, is that, again, if that you're fitting on a real body, you're also going to be able to make a more realistic simulation.
So Roz, what you're essentially saying is that, like, right now in 2021, fashion designers can develop custom fashion for individuals by scanning their literally their digital double, their measurements, and then literally using digital software like Clo 3D to be able to design custom outfits, change colors, change patterns, change cuts, using that digital double. Like and that this technology is not just for large fashion brands, but also independent fashion designers. It sounds like, we're changing the way that fashion is being designed and customized.
Yes, I mean, it's so important in terms of sustainability. It's also so important in getting a satisfied customer. You can't sort of guess at these things. We all know that there is no, well, I mean, there is great attempts for size standardization. But at the same time, there's also people that are not standard sizes.
Mm-hmm.
I do actually focus on that in the advanced course as well. Besides 3D Look, I focus on Alvenon. Alvenon has been an industry standard in terms of sizing of both physical and digital avatars. And a lot of companies are now using them as the in-house models so that you can actually, again, see the clothing first and not see a personality, which is very important when you're a buyer.
So let's talk a little bit about trends for careers in fashion and apparel. I mean, this is an industry that's changing in terms of its skill set. I've heard from a lot of sort of folks in the fashion sector that there is a current shortage in sort of technical talent, particularly in the 3D modeling areas, and that's why this course has been created to help kind of fill that gap. What skills specifically are you hearing from fashion and apparel brands and employers, what are they looking for, in terms of hiring, and where are the gaps? What trends are you seeing in this area?
Well, again, I got a call from someone I've worked with before, and they said, "Help! I need this to be a digital double because I need to animate it for this client. And do you have any students? Can you do it yourself?" And I thought, well, it was a sophisticated project. I thought, no, I don't know that I can really in confidence recommend, although I have got another one of my students a job. So I just took it on and worked solidly for a week. And I believe my client is really happy, but that's all I can say because it's NDA. So, I mean, we're getting good clients.
So it's amazing because what you're doing is building a pipeline of future 3D modeling fashion experts, but you're also working with clients to kind of hear what they're looking for. And it sounds like sophisticated animations, detail, movement in the garments is what people are looking for. So it sounds like it's an area that's just going to grow because everyone is going to sort of these like AR models. Talk to me about how much work it is to get proficient in 3D modeling. You talked about that it does take a little bit of time to get proficiency. How much should a student or someone that's already in the sector that may already understand pattern drafting and design, how much time will they need to commit to getting a level of expertise that they can use in a commercial way?
Well, again, it's how much time you put into it. But at the same time, it's, in fact, that defines it perfectly. It's sort of like Photoshop. You can become a sort of okay user of Photoshop, but the more you use it, the better you get. And I found my greatest schooling was actually in recreating clothing. And then I think, how do I make that happen? But again, you got to get past those first sort of bits. The one thing we do say is with my courses online is that you can do each course in 8 to 10 hours. And I certainly have had my beta testers go whizzing through them. Another thing is that you get 30 days free with clothes. So you can go in and get a really good idea of how much you would want to use or learn the course. We have a couple of free courses up on Motif as well, so that you can do some test drives. But again, I think it's the time you put into it. But I've had one student just go whizzing through all 3 courses, even as a beta tester in the advance. And I was able to turn to him and say, "Help, I need this suit done." And so special thanks to Igor. He really made a difference. So all I'm saying, it's the time you put into it. But at the same time, it's definitely very possible. And you can certainly get your feet wet and figure out how interested you are without making a gigantic commitment, firstly.
So if you're someone that's already kind of working in the industry, this is something you can do part-time, for a couple hours each week and probably learn in a couple weeks. And if someone wants to get into the fashion and apparel industry, this could be a wedge into the industry. And it sounds like this is something you could probably learn in literally like 4 weeks. Like if you did it full time, did the practice, did the modeling and all that. Literally, this is a shortcut into getting into fashion. Would you say?
Yes, definitely. I mean, again, I always say there's the people that know pattern drafting that need to know CAD, and the people that know CAD, computer-aided design, that need to know pattern drafting. And I think you can definitely learn that from those courses. And I think you can definitely learn that in CLO. CLO is a creative program where some of the other softwares are just a bit more sophisticated. They come from much more of a pattern making background.
That's great. So we have a question now from Sarah on the chat. So thank you, Sarah, for your question. Her question is, and I'm just going to read it out loud right now. Roz, what is a dream collaboration for you?
Oh, well, my dream collaboration is to actually work with a costume museum. That's where I've got my greatest training, is in recreating costume. And my absolute dream would be to work with Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City. And when they put on an exhibition, like I believe they're doing the Ravishing Rose at the moment, I'd like to have the same simulation in a VR world so that you could see both. And that would take some really talented flow artists to recreate those historical pieces and the detail of those historical pieces. And it's possible.
I love it. That's a great project.
And therefore, can I say to you, Vivian,
Oh.
what would be your ultimate AR VR space if you had the perfect project?
Oh, gosh. It's funny. There's two that come to mind. I've already been working on one of them. Recently, I went back to my ballet school that I danced at 30 years ago, the Go Ballet Academy, and I filmed a number of human holograms. One with Chan Hong Go, who now is the the director of the school. Her teaching movement from Swan Lake, the arm movements for Odette in Swan Lake, with one of her dancers in a hologram. So now you can learn Odette's movement with Chan Hong Go and one of her dancers from anywhere in the world. I think that's so special. But I also got a chance to create a legacy hologram capturing my dance instructors, Mr. and Mrs. Go, who 30 years ago taught me ballet. And so we got to talk about their vision for what makes a Go Ballet dancer, and their vision of Go Ballet. And so they're now immortalized in a hologram for forever, for time, in their vision and their passion for ballet. So that's really fun. I think that human hologram project was a dream project for me and a highlight this summer. But the one that I kind of see more long-term related to the fashion and apparel industry is that I think that this whole notion of virtual showrooms is something that Next Tech AR is already starting to work on and be building. We're building virtual showrooms in the furniture space because it makes so much sense when you've got multiple furniture brands to be able to try different couches from 7 different vendors in your space to see if it sizes, if it fits, and how it looks in your home, and kind of mix and match that through 3D. With furniture, you kind of need to see it in an immersive way. It doesn't look good flat. But I think that this is going to translate to the fashion and apparel area. And we've been talking to some major fashion brands, luxury fashion brands, about creating virtual showrooms of the future for fashion. And I think one of the things that's exciting is that we're now making those 3D models more accessible through AI. We literally can take 2D photos and convert them into a 3D model, or take a CAD photo and do that conversion. And so you'll start to see more of a mass proliferation of sort of 3D models in fashion through that as well. So trying to use AI in that aspect. Talk to me. Yeah, go ahead.
Again, that's exactly it. I have one ex-student who's been with me a long time, but she is now employed by an AR company to do clothing. And yes, we've besides me being her personal community, we actually have community support on Motif in terms of asking questions about clothes. But it's going to be the beginning of a whole new trade that needs to be able to create products that people can see in their living room.
And that's actually the amazing thing. I think, Roz, I just want to thank you. Like, you are such a phenomenal ambassador for fashion tech. You promote different emerging, different software vendors, different technologies, show people how to use them, build a community to support around them. I just think that you are such an instrumental part of helping digital transformation happen, because we need, thousands of people with these skills in order to kind of convert into an immersive world. And we're starting to see that taking place now. So thank you so much. So we have time for one more question. The question I have here is, You talked a little bit about the virtual fashion museum. How have you been working on this project now? Like, are you working on a fashion museum now? You talk about it being your dream project. I know this is something personally that you've been dreaming about and evolving concepts for about 30 years now. Where are we at on seeing prototypes or actual virtual fashion museums soon? Talk to me about
Well,
that.
Vancouver Film School came to me with an in-class project, and I said, yes, I want to do my virtual fashion museum, and they have completed it. And it is a fantastic, gorgeous marble museum that you can walk through. And I populated with the help of one of my students, Igor, who with 6 pieces, but at the same time, those pieces can come in and out. And it's been so beautifully built that you can watch it in VR headset, Oculus, mobile AR and VR, and it's absolutely exquisite. The engine that has been built, the museum that has been built, and then of course the clothing that we populated has been fantastic. So special thanks to Eli at Vancouver Film School. Special thanks to Vancouver Film School for giving me the opportunity. And we do have a promo video that I don't have the link for, and that probably still has to be refined yet, but they do have an in-house grad tonight, and I believe it'll be in one of the virtual rooms there, or at least the promo video. But yeah, they have done a fantastic job. So in many ways, my dream has already begun.
Incredible. Well, I'm excited to look at this virtual fashion museum that you've prototyped already, and we'll make sure to add the link to the video when it becomes available. For that, again, Roz, thank you so much for joining us today, and looking forward to seeing how you shape the future in fashion 3D apparel. So thanks again.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.